edition of the Money Conversation. We have been running a series on the 9 tips of money by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm going to be rounding it up tomorrow, where we'll talk about the final tips that says take advantage of market downturns. But today we're going to be looking at the 8th tip that says learn from your mistakes. Yes. My name is Theodora Otsu, the money woman, the financial lord, the Odogores of money. And yes, you need to learn from your mistakes. Robert teaches that mistakes aren't failure, they are lessons. But you see, the problem is that many of us are taught to fear mistakes because in school, while we're growing up, when you get the wrong answer, you are punished. When you make a mistake, you are punished for that mistake, right? So a lot of us have grown up with a mindset of being afraid of failures, thinking making a mistake is a failure. But no, mistakes aren't failures, they are lessons to be learned. In fact, in business and money, mistakes are one of the greatest teachers that you can learn from. When you lose money on a bad investment, when you overspend on liabilities, or when you make poor financial decisions, it can sting, it can be very painful. I have been there, I have lost a lot of times in investment that I make. But guess what? I don't stay there. I learn from the mistakes. Now, it's time for you to start seeing your mistakes as lessons instead of seeing it as failure, right? So Kiyosaki encourages that when you make mistakes, you should ask questions like, what is this mistake teaching me? Every error provides feedback. So see mistakes as a feedback mechanism where you ask yourself, what do I need to avoid? What did I do wrong? What do I need to improve in? And how do I make a better choice next time? Rather than just staying in the mistake and sulking, you need to honestly ask questions that will lead you to the answers of what went wrong, why you made that mistake, or why you failed in that investment or business. Now, wealthy people don't succeed because they don't fail. Far from it. Wealthy people actually succeed because they fail fast. Now, what does it mean to fail fast? Failing fast means that you make a mistake and you don't stay in the mistake. You ask questions like I have listed out earlier, and then you move on, right? You move on, learning the lessons, applying them, adjusting quickly, and continuing with your life. So they treat mistakes as tuition fee in the school of life. The same way you pay school fees to go to school, to go to the university, is the same way making an investment and losing it, or making mistakes in your business is a tuition fee for the school of life, because many of these things are not taught in schools. So you use the mistakes to learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn. Alright? So the poor and the middle class always view mistakes as failure, and so they are always afraid of failure. They are afraid, they fear failure, they fear to fail, and that's why they don't start that business, they don't make that investment. You ask them to come and I don't want to lose my money. They're not interested, they're not open to taking risk, and ironically they are ensuring that they never grow. So you don't take risk, you don't grow. No risk, no growth. Now, am I saying dive into anything? No. There's something called calculated risk, but the common denominator there is risk. Risk is what the wealthy uses to grow their funds. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. They are not afraid of losing, because when they lose, they learn something from it. They know what not to do next time. And that's why it looks like a wealthy man's business is always succeeding. No, he has learned from his mistakes and now he knows what to do and what not to do. Okay, so what does it mean to learn from mistakes? It means reflecting honestly. You need to reflect honestly on what went wrong. What could you have done better? Right? You need to reflect honestly and give yourself honest answer. Did you enter into this business or into this investment without doing your due diligence? Did you apportion more money that you should have given to these expenses? Sometimes you get the lessons from it. It could be that something that's been sold at 10,000, you bought it at 50,000, and then you just found out every other person bought at 10,000. What did you do wrongly? Oh, I didn't do my due diligence in finding out how much it actually worth. So I was cheated. This person scammed me. Right? So it will teach you that next time, before you buy something, you should do some price survey. Get prices from 2, 3, 4 people and compare prices so that you know if this is the actual price or if someone is trying to play a fast one on you. That is what it means to do an honest reflection. Now, when you've done that honest reflection, document the lessons. When you document the lessons, it will help you not to repeat the same mistakes again. And then thirdly, you need to apply the changes. Just like I said, giving the example of buying something at an exorbitant price. Now that you've made that mistake, the next time you want to do something, apply the changes you learned, so that I won't go on to purchase something without having 2 or 3 different price points to compare, right? So you do your price survey and compare prices and know if this is the price or if someone is trying to overcharge you, right? So apply the changes. It might be you lost in an investment. What did I do wrong? I thought they said this investment is running. Maybe you made that investment when the market was high. And so after you purchased, the market crashed and then you lost. So what would you learn from that? That you don't really invest when the market is at its peak. You wait for down times most times to invest. You wait for that time that it's about to rise, not when it has finished rising. Because when you tell people, come and invest, oh, this shares is going for 45 naira per shares, they don't invest. They say, it's not profitable. What will 45 naira do for me? Then when they hear that the shares have climbed up to 90 naira per shares, that's when they want to buy. And so you might now buy at 90 naira and it drops to 70 naira and you've lost. And so what did you do wrongly? You bought when the shares was at its peak. Learn to buy just before the peak time. The best time to invest is when there's a downturn in the market. But you see, that's when a lot of people sell. So when you sell when there's a downturn, you now lose. And then it's after you finish selling, it will now pick up. You now feel, oh wow. So you now learn the lesson that when it looks like it is dropping and people are selling off, that is the best time to buy, right? Learn and apply the changes that you learned. Okay, and the last way you can learn from mistakes is by embracing small risk. So that even if the mistakes happen, they are affordable risk. They are affordable and they become educational. Don't use your whole life savings. Don't use your family funds. Don't use your school fees. Don't use your house rent to go and make an investment because somebody tells you that this thing will bring an ROI of 50% in the next 3 months. No, you don't do that. Okay, learn to invest what you can afford to lose. That is the advice we give to people. Learn to invest what you can afford to lose. The key is not to dwell on the failure, right? The key is not to dwell on the mistakes, but to use them as stepping stones. As Kiyosaki often says, losing money is temporal, but failing to learn from the mistake is permanent. So from now on, know that mistakes are not failure. It doesn't mean you're a failure. Even if you fail in that business, if you fail in that investment, learn from the mistakes and try again. And by so doing, you keep growing financially. You won't always win all, but if you have learned the lessons, chances are that 80% of the investment or the business you go into, you will win because you have learned from the mistakes. We're going to be looking at maximizing market downturns, using it for your favor, using it to your best interest. Don't miss the last tip, which is investing during market downturn. Until I come your way again tomorrow, I remain your favorite money woman, and don't forget, I am here rooting for your financial success.